Thank you for joining me, Micala.
Thank you for having me, Robert.
For everyone, this is Solved in 30. And what we do here is solve a problem for a particular industry, and we do it in 30 minutes. And the problem that we're going after is one that tends to be viewed as insolvable. So for this episode, we're dealing with memory care. It's the healthcare industry, but very specifically in memory care. This applies a lot to senior living, dementia care in particular. And it has a real problem that we're going to get to in just a second. But first, I want to introduce Micala, who's joined us here. Micala, I'm going to ask you to share with everybody how you came to this industry and what you've done in it so far.
Well, thank you again for having me. I'm Micala Gingrich Gaylord, and I've been working for Comfort Care Homes for 6 years. I am CEO and president here, and I got into dementia care actually after working in psychiatric with kids and found that there was a link in the needs of people to be supported who were dealing with something. There was advocacy needs, and so that's how I got started in the work. And I've been lucky to be able to grow in different businesses and try really innovative practice. My background is as a painter and sculptor. That's what my degree's in, and found there's a real synergy between creative work and the work of dementia care.
That's something I didn't know. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that they connect in that way. Although I can't say that I'm surprised because I can get that, creative work and especially when you're dealing with an intractable problem. So the way this format goes, and then we're going to talk about the problem, is that I'm going to facilitate the solution to the problem using a methodology that you're familiar with, Michaela, is because your organization has used the product of Ringarang. Under the hood of
Mhm.
Ringarang is a methodology we call the ASK method. So it's an acronym that stands for Attitudes, Skills, and Knowledge, ASK. And that's how we style habits. So habit formation is really at the core of our product and at the core of a mission that I have, which is why the methodology was developed, that you really have to have human beings develop habits in order for anything to change. Learning, as we traditionally know, it doesn't ultimately get us there because it's static knowledge and we're not necessarily applying it. And if we do apply it, we don't always do it habitually. So you got to develop habits. And there's a way of breaking down problems that are behavior related so that you get all the way down through habits, even down to individual actions that need to be taken. And that's what we're going to go after here. With a problem that you found in the industry of healthcare, specifically memory care, what would you say is that intractable problem that, man, if you could solve this, it would just make a world of difference?
Right. Well, this is a growing disease in the world and in our country, and there aren't enough people who are coming into the field to do the work and staying in it. So there's a
Mm.
staff retention problem, but there's also an attraction problem of how do people, are they attracted to this work? They might be attracted to healthcare, but memory care specifically is a different story.
Yeah, I can see where that would be a problem. Not only, I mean, we're in a workforce crisis that goes across numerous industries, so I can see where this would significantly impact what you might call workforce crisis here. Got to
Right.
attract them, and then if you can get them here, then you got to keep them. You have
Exactly.
problems on either side of that pipeline, it sounds like. All
Yeah,
right.
it's not an easy one, so we'll see what we can do in 30 minutes.
Exactly. That's what, that's the challenge. That's what we always like to put to
Right.
the challenge here. All right. So I'm going to share my screen and I've typed up a little bit here of the way you've described this problem. And what I'm using is a custom GPT that is connected to the brain of our product, which is Ringarang. So it uses a carefully facilitated process that I'm going to be your human facilitator. This is going to be our digital facilitator. So as I'm putting it in here, this is my particular sandbox we get to work in. Our digital facilitator is going to walk us through what we call a goal design. And a
Mhm.
goal design is it assumes that there's a goal for the program, and it also assumes that there's a program. So it assumes that we're going to actually have a program of helping fix this problem. It then breaks down the goal into organizational results that you would need. And then how you get those results is to make sure habits get formed, attitude, skill, and knowledge habits, and it even goes further. So here we've gotten started already. It's asking before we identify the goal, who are the learners? In this case, whose behavior would we be changing?
I mean, I think we're changing. It's hard not to say all of those because I think they're all part of that pipeline. But I think initially it's new hires. We're
Okay, yeah,
changing
new
hires'
hires.
perception.
All right, so this is actually the folks that you want to attract to the
Hmm.
industry. That's hard to attract them and also hard to retain them.
Right.
Okay, so now we know who our learners are. So the system has proposed a goal, which is that new hires choose to stay in memory care because they know what the work demands. They see the value of care when cure is not possible, and they build the daily skills to handle stress without burning out.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a good goal. It's a good thing to aim for.
And if that goal were could be reached, would it make a big difference in the industry?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, great. Then it is a worthy goal to go after. So we're going to say, if achieved, would it solve the core issue? And so we're saying yes.
Yeah.
All right. So now the goal is confirmed, and we're going to go down to a next level of this problem solving, the level we call results. So results, typically when we're doing a ring-a-rang program, there's somewhere between 2 to 5 results you want to target over time. Sometimes we start with a single one, but eventually we get to at least two of them. The system here has already proposed three of them, and we're going to drill down on one. So take a look at what we have here and see which one you might want to drill down on or adjust or even propose another one that's not here.
I think the third one is the most important to me because I think a lot of times people think that they have clear eyes about the work and they understand there's meaning in the work, but
Very
I'm not
good.
sure that the staying power remains.
Yes. Okay. So the staying power is what we're going to focus on here then. Say result 3. So now drilling down there on how do we get the new hires to actually stay? The system has proposed some habits. Now, as I
Mhm.
introduced earlier, we have attitude habits. Those are tantamount to a belief. And
Right.
we want to get the person, the learner, in this case, the new hire, to say, this is what I believe. Then we've developed an attitude, right?
Right.
A skill habit is something that they need to know how to do and that they do it habitually. So they need to be able to say honestly, I do this and I do it habitually. And then
Right.
third and finally, there's the knowledge habit, and that is something that they always want to keep in mind and that they
Mhm.
habitually keep in mind when situations come up that trigger that knowledge.
Right.
So what's been proposed here are three habits, one of each type. Take a look at those three and see if there's one of them in particular you'd want to drill down on.
Again, I think all of them are important. I think the attitude and skills well, I think the attitude is more of a general one that I'm not sure just one place is going to fix. That's kind of a world thing of how do we reduce
Hmm?
people's stress. But skills and knowledge, I really knowledge is the one that to me is the most important is there's going to be stress and then what are the support steps available and what do I do with that stress?
Okay, good. So what I'm going to do is now have you put a litmus test to that because you're saying we should drill down on the knowledge habit, correct?
Yeah, I think
All right.
so.
So what I'm going to ask you is if this existed right now, that meant your new hires came in and they could name the common stress points in memory care and the support steps that'll be available to them. If they could name that habitually, they know it. Would that get you new hires building staying power? Would it actually increase the staying power?
I mean, I think it would because I think a lot of times that isn't trained, it's not understood. And the important piece of the support steps being available to somebody, I mean, that's an internal thing that has to be built,
Mhm.
and something that I think a lot of businesses struggle with. So,
Yeah.
I think that one is pretty critical.
I actually agree with you, even going beyond this industry, because if we find in any industry, if especially when you have a first skill worker, somebody who's coming in there that's at the early point of their career, if they don't know what they're getting into, and unfortunately, a lot of times they don't, lots of industries,
Right.
It's one of
Yeah.
the main contributors to them cycling out of the job within the first 6 months.
Yeah.
So great. We're going to say habit 3.3. So now that we've focused on this knowledge habit about being able to identify the common stress points, the system's going to propose several topics. And these are topics that have got to be covered and covered repeatedly so that you can get that habit formed.
Yeah.
So, of these topics, the ones that are, how many of them? Three of them have been proposed here. Go ahead and take a
Mhm.
look at those and let me know if you think that they're in line with getting that habit formed. Would they get the habit formed, or is there anything you do to adjust them?
I don't know that I would adjust anything, but I think um the most important, and I think I keep picking the third one, but is
It's all right.
is understanding, the lay of the land for things that are the most hard in a job, versus, knowing when to, the self-regulation, of course, is important, but the things that escalate, you need to know what to do about those so you can self-regulate. So I think the third one is really critical, is when to escalate the thing, or
Okay,
knowing
great.
when.
So
I
I know, and
guess I would have. Go ahead.
no, no, sorry, I was going to move on to another part. Please finish your thought.
I was just thinking that the escalation is knowing when you need help, but I mean, it's kind of a combination between the support steps and when to escalate, and really understanding and making sure that those actually exist in a business, because it doesn't do anybody any good if we're learning those internally, but we don't actually have operational ways to make those happen.
Yeah, really good. So then this is kind of asking you to double check what it is that you've said here. If this topic were really well covered to the point
Mhm.
where you know that they know this, is that going to have them develop this habit?
Maybe it's not going to have them do that. I think more that would be the first one. Is they recognize the stress points, they understand what those are, and that's going to develop that initial habit.
Okay. So you think this number one that's been listed, is there
Yeah, I think
also
that.
another topic, let's say?
Um,
Is there some other topic that you think would be more impactful that it needs to get covered in order to get this habit formed?
and name the common stress points. Well, I mean, it's that number one. It's I know what these stress points are going to be, and then I
Mhm.
know what is available to support me operationally. So it's both and, I guess, is kind of how I
Yeah.
feel about.
Okay, I got that. Very good. So we're going to start here with topic 3.3.1, but also remember to come back to what was the other one? 3.3.3. Yep.
Yeah,
3.3.3. Good. All right. So on 3.3.1, common stress points supporting this habit, and this is the linchpin is getting the habit for the first habit formed. The only way to form
hmm,
a habit, of course, is you got to have somebody doing something over and over again.
right.
And that's where we get down to actions. Now we have it paired up with what we call an obstacle. In our vernacular, an obstacle is a mental obstacle most of the time.
Hmm.
It's usually not so much situational as it is something that's going on in your head that stops you from
Right.
taking the action. Some very common ones are, I don't have time for this, or I have a better way of doing this, or I'm not sure this applies to me. Those are common mental obstacles that we usually don't say anything about. But when you're asked to do something, you might just go off and then either do it
Right.
half-heartedly or not do it at all because you got that obstacle running the show, right?
Mm.
All right. So this, by identifying them together, you can speak to them as either a coach, in our case, it's a pocket coach. You speak to them, and then it tends to develop more trust with the person being coached because they're like, all right, it seems like they understand the resistance that I have to this, and
Right.
they're still asking me to do it. The likelihood they'll try it becomes much higher. So I'll ask you to look at the pairings that the system has proposed for you here. Three pairings where there's an action and then there's an obstacle. This now asks you to do a couple things. Not only identify if you think the action is going to really make a difference in covering this topic and getting to this habit, But also, do you think it's the right, it's the most relevant obstacle based upon what you know of the new hires you work with? Is this actually what's going on in their head that would have them resist it?
I mean, for me, that's hard to say for everyone, but as a
Sure.
generalization, I think being able to name stress before the shift starts is a habit that's really important. Being able to say out loud, "This is hard," and
Hmm.
then so it's really 3.31A and 3.31C together, because I do think a lot of caregivers characteristically want to be able to care in a way that makes them feel and look good. They're caregivers
Hmm.
because they want to feel good about themselves. Saying something is hard, is not doable, is not tenable, creates
Yeah,
an internal stress that isn't even about just caregiving. It's about, am I okay? Am I good at what I do? So to
very
me,
good.
those are paired together.
So now, of those are the two actions that you'd like to see, and you're saying that if both of those actions were taken on a habitual basis, that this
Right.
habit would actually get formed.
Yeah, I think so. I think that that would help the culture build a number of people who can say that out loud. You're coming into a culture of people who can openly talk about stress and about what it feels like. So yeah, I think so.
Really good. You'll notice the thing that I continually repeat as we go level by level down this, and unfortunately, this is a lot of times what's lost in traditional training when you're developing a curriculum, is that we tend to go through it in a very academic way where we say, yeah, we need to learn these things. Yeah, here's a list of all these topics that seem relevant. But we don't usually get right down to if this action is taken, will this habit get formed? If
Right.
this habit is formed, will we get this result? And then really fill in the gaps that show up in when you go through that questioning. So thank you
Right.
for going through the specifics of it like that. It makes a difference.
Yeah.
All right, so now you've identified these two actions, 331 and 331, I'm sorry, 331A and 331C
Mhm.
as being the most relevant. Take a look at the obstacles as well now, and just specifically look at the one here for 331A. Do you think commonly that would be the resistance to taking the action?
I think so. I mean, I think it is common for young people coming into a field that may be new to them
Hmm.
to say, oh, stress is only gonna impact me in this job when things are hard on the
Yeah,
floor. But that actually, to be really good in this kind of field, you have to manage your stress well ahead of time because you're bringing energy into the field.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
I
So
think
it
I
does,
think I mean, yes.
is there any adjustment you would make to it? Anything that would make it even more relevant?
I think name one common stress point before the shift starts with your coworkers to gain common experience, to gain um, camaraderie.
All right, we're going to type that in. Say adjust to, now go ahead and give that to me again. Name one common stress point before the shift starts with,
With your coworkers to build camaraderie and community care, community, work together.
I think I spelled camaraderie right. Or is it CAM?
Oh, you're asking the wrong person. My
That's-
spelling, we don't talk about it. We just use spell check.
And I was a spelling bee champ, so there. I still don't think I got it. There we go. All right. So one more time, it's like shift starts with your coworkers to build camaraderie.
Yeah, camaraderie and in a sense of community that you're not alone in doing the caregiving.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Excellent. And now you can tell we're right here in on the court. We're where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. This is where you've got to identify the action in a way that it's relevant to the learner so that they're likely to take it.
Right.
And then, of course, also identify the obstacle that's commonly, maybe not always, but commonly in their way. So even if it's not right there, let's say we were delivering a coaching moment to somebody, even
Right.
if we speak to the obstacle and they're like, that's not really what's going on for me, they're not going to think you're crazy.
Yeah.
because it is still a common obstacle that they've probably experienced before. Name one common stress point before the shift starts with coworkers to build community and commonality. So maybe it's with a coworker. Is that more relevant?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, to build community and commonality. All right. Okay,
And
so here's
maybe I
the,
don't know
sorry.
if you add in the 3.31C, but the obstacle there to me kind of works alongside this, which is that when you do this, you no longer have to look weak or unready for your job. You now have community around you doing it together. But maybe
Okay,
that's a
really good. All right, so this is the adjustment here that we're going to make to the first pairing, which is 3.3.1. And then say again what you think the suggestion would be for adjusting 331C as opposed to A.
so I think that a lot of caregivers might get into care uh, thinking they have to kind of be superheroes and like I can't ever have a problem. I think this is really relevant that the obstacle is I look weak. By doing that first one, you're building this sense of community with people that look, we all agree this is stressful. We all understand this is hard and we do it together.
All right, so the way we'll actually word it then is I believe asking about stress will make me look weak or unready. And you're suggesting make me look weak or unready is what we're going to change, right?
Yeah, I'm saying make me look like I'm not a good caregiver, which is, I mean,
Yeah.
such a there's such a weight of like I want to be seen as competent and kind of a superhero. I would dare say with caregivers, there's a little bit of a hero complex.
Very good. That's really good to identify. Yeah, I can see where that would get in the way. And it also
Yeah.
probably in certain moments cause is a strength, right?
Oh yeah, it's both and.
Yeah,
But if you're
often.
not seasoned in the field and you come in with that, it can be a real barrier to you sticking around if you don't look like you're a hero all the time.
Very good. Yeah, I'm glad that you identified it that way. I have found so often in this work that your greatest strength is also your greatest weakness, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it takes something to help somebody distinguish that and pull it apart in the right contexts.
Sure.
So that's very
Yeah.
valuable that you're refining it that way. I'm going to go ahead and return. And good. So it's already made the adjustments here. So common stress points, the new action here is name one common stress point with a coworker before the shift starts. The obstacle being, I believe talking about stress will make me look like I'm not a good caregiver because I want to be seen as competent and strong.
Yep.
Very good. All right. So now we've got now a set of actions and obstacles that can work for the common stress points. Now, there was another topic you also identified, and I want to see if we can come back to that. So, what was the other topic we have?
Which other topic was
There
it?
was another one that you identified, and it remembered. I told it to remember. So, yep, we noted 3.3.3. Here it is. The topic is when to escalate,
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
right? All right. So then the actions, I'm sorry, the action obstacle pairings that are proposed by the system for that are a little different here. So take a look at these and see which ones are really going to help you get to this habit where I can name a common stress point in memory care that supports
Right.
steps available to me.
Let's see. To me, it feels like the pair, it's the second one. Yeah, it's B. And I
Report
think that,
aggression before care continues, and the obstacle, I believe aggression is just part of my job, so I should just push it through.
and then again, I think this leads back to that superhero complex of I am a caregiver, therefore I shouldn't be having a hard time and having to say, this is getting a lot for me. I can tap out with somebody and I'll push through, which causes burnout.
Aha. Very good. Note that part of this problem, I want to
Yeah.
highlight the burnout part.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, and for you to validate or adjust my thinking here, that burnout is one of those observations you make when somebody's probably going to drop out of their job.
Right. When they're not saying, it's either they can't articulate the exact terms that are making it so difficult because
Hmm.
they haven't been able to do that self-reflection, or an industry has no mechanism for that, which I think is very true in most places. Emotional acuity and the ability to talk about stress is something that healthcare, that's kind of like nurses eat their young. What are we talking about?
Mm, mm.
We don't talk about the emotional labor and the emotional IQ or EQ that's needed for the work. That was a long answer, but
Yeah, you're saying they just actually, when it comes down to it, they don't really talk a lot about their emotions.
no, I think in this industry you're kind of trained, you're caregiving for another human's emotions, and yours become quite secondary. When in fact, I think if you are not emotionally well, this is work that is impossible to do.
Yeah, yeah. It is a wellness issue. I'm going to
Yeah,
go ahead and put that in there and see what adjustments get made here. I help others. My needs come last and becomes a
yeah.
framework we're operating in. So this revised pairing here for 333, when to escalate, report aggression to a lead before care continues.
Mhm.
And the obstacle is I believe aggression is just part of the job. So I keep my feelings quiet, put my own needs last. Does that sound right? Anything you do
Yeah,
to adjust that? That sounds right. Okay.
that's
And
right. Yeah.
there is an optional version that it's suggesting too. Here, you could say it this way: report aggression and name its impact to a lead before care continues, meaning like this is the impact it had on me.
Right.
And the obstacle being, I believe a good caregiver stays quiet about hard feelings because residents, need their needs should always come before
Always.
mine.
Yeah. And I even would maybe say, report aggression and name the impact it's had on you. Not because we even that phrase, report aggression and name its impact. Immediately, I read that as the impact on the resident.
Ah,
I mean, I'm even trained in that sort of, methodology that's what that means. Is it who has impacted the resident, right? Yeah.
yes, right. So we just articulated that more clearly. Its impact on you, right? There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Okay. So now I'm going to ask it to summarize. I'm going to ask it to summarize the goal design elements that we've focused on. So we have a single goal, and I want you to look at this afresh, if you would, just as if this
Yeah.
were, if we had these in place as a way of training the new behaviors, would we get to our goal? So the goal itself is new hires choose to stay in memory care because they know what the work demands, they see the value of care when cure is not possible, which is very challenging, and they build the daily skills to handle stress without burning out. That sound
Yeah.
right? All right.
Yeah.
The result, it's not the only result, but it's the primary result we're going after here, is that new hires build staying power. They use simple habits to manage stress, ask for help, and keep showing up well.
Mhm.
The primary habit is a knowledge habit that you'd go after, which is that habitually they can name the common stress points in memory care and the support steps that are available to them. Yeah. Topics for sure you'd have to cover, and this is the primary one, is common stress points. New hires recognize common stress points in memory care, including repeated questions, resistance to care, family pressure, grief, time pressure, and end of shift fatigue. Does that sound right?
Yeah, no, those are good ones.
There are action obstacle pairings that are listed here. One of them is the action of name one common stress point with a coworker before the shift starts. And the common obstacle is I believe talking about stress is going to make me look like I'm not a good caregiver because I want to be seen as competent and strong, a superhero, as you pointed out.
Mhm.
And this one, action, point to the stress point when it shows up during care. What's going on for them that opposes that is, I believe repeated questions, resistance, or family pressure mean I'm doing something wrong.
Right.
Yeah. And then this action obstacle pairing, it's say the stress point out loud to lead to the lead before it builds. And their obstacle to that is, I believe asking about stress is going to make me look weak or unready.
Mhm.
All right, so now we're at this other, the second of the two topics that you said that we should focus on. New hires know when a situation needs help now, such as unsafe movement, aggression, refusal of essential care, family conflict, or signs of distress.
Mhm.
Is that right? That's when to escalate.
Yeah. Yeah.
The action obstacle pairings here are action. Call a lead when a resident's movement looks unsafe. And the obstacle is I assume I should handle unsafe movement by myself because I don't want to slow down the team.
Mhm.
Does that seem right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You got two more here. One action, reported aggression, or I mean, sorry, report aggression and name its impact on you to a lead before care continues. But their obstacle is, I believe a good caregiver stays quiet about hard feelings because residents should, their needs should always come before mine. And this looks like this action obstacle may duplicate largely one that we already had above.
Right.
So we would streamline that, but it's clear that this one's coming up. If the system's flagging this and putting it in two different ways that it's wording it, it seems like
Right.
it's showing up as really important.
Right.
And I'm really getting this too, by the way. I mean, personally, I'm getting that there is this dichotomy that's going on where to be effective as a caregiver, you've got to be able to speak to something, but you've got an instinct inside that's going totally against that.
Yeah. Yep. And you have to also, it is a duality of setting aside some of your needs while you're giving the care, but recognizing that this is impactful work. And
Yeah.
what are the systems that we have set up? How do we culturally deal with that so that people want it? Because the benefits are really profound, right? The benefits of feeling like a good caregiver are great. It's just not always that easy if you can't separate those two things.
You know, this is the question that I want to ask you, Michaela, because it's really moving to me. So much of my profession and my mission is involved in wellness. It's helping
Right.
people to identify when mental illness kicks in, which is for all of us. I mean, it's just like getting physically ill. All of us get
Right.
physically ill to one degree or another. You know, when you're mentally ill, it comes and goes for most of it. And then for others, it's more
Right.
acute and it's persistent, right? So
Mhm.
what always gets in the way of mental wellness in one form or another is that this is what's expected of me, and this is what is going on in my head. And they're two
Mhm.
different things. So there's a kind of
Right.
cognitive dissonance between what's going on in you and what's going on in the world.
Yes.
So to be able to speak those out loud in a work environment is such a healthy thing. It's one of the best if you can do it in a family environment, if you can do it in a
Sure.
school environment, any place where you are where you can get your external realities and your internal dissonance to live together.
Yeah. Yeah. They can hang out.
They can hang out, right?
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
brings me to this question that let's say just looking at this action obstacle pairing alone, if just this alone were taken on and habitually was done, and you could overcome this obstacle commonly, would that make a big difference to solving this otherwise intractable problem?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think if we had there's some places between that and systems and operations for people to believe this, because that's a big culture shift. When you're talking about caregiving in healthcare is patient first always. But in an industry that needs people to come in and an industry where the people coming in are living in the world we live in with all of the difficulties with mental health, the recognition, all of that, that's a big conflict to not be able to talk about, actually, this is really hard. This is hard work and I want to do it, but I also want to be able to say it's hard and I don't always feel good because sometimes I don't feel like I know what I'm doing or it doesn't match up. So yeah, I think that starts to get at solving or at least having an idea of how to begin to solve a pretty large problem that I think we started, I don't know that there's a silver bullet for it, but
No,
there
and
have
there
to be
never is,
things,
because if there were, it'd have been solved by now. But
right? But there's something there. Yeah.
yeah, and that's the thing that we get down to with this. So if you think about when you develop any sort of communications with your employees, or if you're developing a training, the unfortunate limit to that exercise is that you're going through all of the different things that have to get covered. And then there's this assumption in the background that we don't have much of their time. So we got to get
Right.
all this information to them when we have so little time. So let's throw it all onto a bunch of crowded slides, or we're going to get it all into a couple of videos, and none of it sticks.
Yeah.
So what we just went through, although not a silver bullet as none of these are, we got right down to a single action that would
Hmm.
actually make a big difference
Yeah.
towards solving the problem. And if you did nothing else but just get that single action repeatedly achieved, and that means
Right.
overcoming that common obstacle that's in here, now we've made a change that probably will start showing up on statistics in the
Yeah.
industry, right?
I would hope. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it would be an amazing thing if we had a more emotionally intelligent world where we can all say this is hard and that
Yeah.
we have we can do that. And I think we'd take better care of everybody, each other included.
Oh, it's so beautifully said, Micala. Thank you. And thank
Yeah.
you for going through
Thank
the
you.
process with me. If there's
Yeah.
one
Thank
thing
you.
I'd love for people to get out of watching this, is that they say, wow, it really does get down sometimes to just a few key things to focus on to make a
Right.
big impact. And this is one that,
Right.
really matters for the health of lots of people, not just the new hire, but also the people they're taking care of and the families
Yeah.
who are bringing the patients, right?
Exactly. Yeah. No, thank
Thank-
you. It's a good
Yeah.
exercise.
Thank you. And thank you for what you do. You're great, Micala.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's a joy and I have been well supported emotionally to learn how to do it. So
Yeah, good
it's
point.
good.
I
Right.
can see
Yeah.
it. I can see that on you. All right, this has
Yeah.
been solved in 30, and at least we've
All
gotten
right.
ourselves partway down that path to really solving something.
All right. Thank you so much. Take
Till we see
care.
each other again.
Have a good one. Bye.
As you can see, big problems don't have to be complicated. Our process breaks them down all the way to individual actions. I invite you to consider having the Ringarang team solve a big problem for you and then deliver coaching to your people as nano learning, bite-sized pocket coaching to ensure your people turn their learning into habits. Book a demo with us now. We'll talk it through.